We know Boston College couldn't throw the ball last season, but they didn't even run it that well in 2015 and hope to do much better with Jon Hilliman back on the scene. We bring in Dan Rubin from BCInterruption to help us break down the running back position for the Eagles. All right, Dan. Jon Hilliman, a big 2014, 13 rushing touchdowns, 860 rushing, got hurt against Northern Illinois, and the rushing game from there kind of disintegrated.
Yeah, like everything else on the Boston College offense, disintegrated as the season went on. And it's funny. You talk about the Boston College offense, and literally Steve Adazio will probably be the first one to admit how everything last year was unacceptable. I think that's the right word. And what we learned last year about the running game was that it's not even the personnel at times in the backfield, but the chemistry between the quarterback, the running back, and the offensive line, and making sure all of that's in sync. That's the first thing that we learned, especially when Boston College wasn't really running the ball well. Through the first couple of games against Florida State, they struggled even before Hilliman went out. Hilliman, I think, had a fumble that was returned back the other way, and what at that point was a one-score game wound up being put it away for Florida State. But it's a tough go of it last year, especially at the position. Injuries took their toll in addition to lack of development in the whole chemistry and in sync with the rest of the offense. And like everything else, when we talk about the offense at Boston College, there's no other way around it. It was bad.
Yeah, it was also kind of difficult for Tyler Rouse to get on track. Most of those ACC games, he gained 35, 40 yards, something in that range. Did average 4.2 per carry for the season and finished off with a bang with 2 touchdowns and 111 yards against the Orange. So you've got him. You got Myles Willis, who again struggled to gain above 4 yards per carry. Size the rest of this backfield situation up for us.
Well, might be addition by subtraction in this offense. They've lost a couple of guys to transfers out. They had to transferring out, I should say. They had a really crowded backfield last year, despite all the injuries and despite everything. There were only so many touches to go around, and nobody got any traction. Marcus Outlaw was a fourth running back in addition to Tyler Rouse, Jon Hilliman, Myles Willis. He's transferred to Coastal Carolina. So he's out. He is no longer a member of the program. And Sherm Alston, who was used as a wide receiver but ran the ball on those jet sweeps and reverse option type plays, he also transfers out. He goes to Stony Brook. So addition by subtraction in the running game, you're able to simplify the running game, use 3 guys, and get back to what's going to work, which is use Jon Hilliman as your feature back, provided he stays healthy. He is coming back from that fractured foot that ended his year last year. Use Myles Willis, who's kind of been a bread and butter type recruit for the last couple of years. Hope that the offensive line opens things up, opens up some holes, gets into some chemistry in terms of blocking, especially in front of the quarterback, in front of Patrick Tolles or Darius Wade, and then use Tyler Rouse intermittently. The one thing about Tyler Rouse is that he'll give you everything, but he shouldn't be playing every down. He's not big enough, he's not fast enough, and he's not strong enough. So great third down back, not a feature back by any stretch of the imagination. And last year he wound up being the feature back down the end and giving you everything that he could, but it wasn't enough. It certainly wasn't enough. And, the backfield situation could be a lot worse for BC, but hopefully it gets a lot better.
Dan, before we came on here, we actually mentioned a term in football lexicon that gets mentioned about twice a year now. Fullback. You've got a possible fullback. Maybe he's not going to play fullback, but he looks like a fullback, right?
That's right. We do have a full-blown blocking back, meathead fullback blocking guy on. I use blocking twice because that's all they do in this offense. Bobby Wolford is back at the fullback position. He's capable of catching 1 or 2 passes per game out of the backfield, but he's also capable of just ramming up into the hole and knocking somebody silly. And they got another guy in Richard Wilson who's listed as a fullback. He's 5'10", 220-something pounds, a big leg, just a load. And from what I understand, he's not a bad runner either. So he's listed as a fullback, but you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing him take a couple carries here and there and see what he can do with it. The one thing I've always loved about those big guys in the backfield is if they get some forward head of steam, good luck tackling them, especially if they're coming downhill at you.
Yeah, you could have used one of those plays inside the 10-yard line against Wake Forest to win that game.
Boy, you really know how to hurt a guy.
Sorry, Dan. I need to treat you better than that. You break down personnel units for me, get us set for Boston College. It's always a good time with Dan Rubin from BCInterruption, breaking down a running back at Boston College and hopefully a lot more production here this fall. Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely.